Hello, and welcome to the Monster Painter. This week, I get ready for my next Frostgrave game by entering the Echodrome. So, the Echodrome is the 8th scenario in the Maze of Malcor campaign for Frostgrave. It is set at a haunted university campus. The Echodrome is the school's music conservatory and is occupied by the ghostly shade of Florissa Undine, a long-dead professor and performer with a tragic backstory. The ruined conservatory is also infested with demons, of course, and I'm using this as my jumping-off point and excuse for getting a bunch of demon musician miniatures all painted up. And here we go. I went down to the local game shop, the Sword and Board, here in Toronto, and picked up this cheap bag of very poorly painted miniatures with the intent of creating the Fire Dwarf Brass Band, a true instrument of evil. These old Warhammer Fantasy Dwarves are going to do the trick quite nicely. But you know what's even better than a mitt full of cheap, badly painted dwarves? Miniatures you dig out of your own pile of shame. And to this end, I have an official Frostgrave miniature of Florissa Undine, started but not finished. She is joined by a heavily armed Warhammer Beastman, a huge metal Oni by Rackham for their game Confrontation, this ancient Oldhammer Chaos Sorcerer rocking his staff like it was an electric guitar. The sensitive lute-playing goblin is a Confrontation model with a GW head. And finally, a proper piano out of one of those cool Mantic terrain crates.
What is going on? The Monster Painter has missed the most evil and demonic of all instruments.
No, I think that Oldhammer Chaos Sorcerer is playing something like an electric guitar.
Bah! I am talking about a truly diabolical musical instrument.
The accordion?
No. I am talking about the devil's own horn.
The tuba? I'm pretty sure one of the dwarves are playing a tuba.
No, something much eviler than a tuba. We are missing the most twisted and terrifying instrument in all of creation.
Ah! You mean the bagpipes?
Yes, bagpipes, yes.
Well, that is a bit of an oversight, but I think this Warmachine Hordes troll blood bagpipe player will do.
Yes, that will do quite perfectly. Now I would like to see the Monster Painter finish up those dwarves.
You got it, Mr. Hand, and we're back to our $7 bag of GW plastic. These Warhammer Fantasy models, I think they're from the 90s. I believe they are 3 different musicians from 3 different units from the dwarf faction of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, that memorable old game. They have been painted without being primed and are a total mess. Unredeemable. I'm going to have to throw them in some purple stuff and let the chemistry work things out. The 6 little dwarves have been soaking in the purple for some 18 hours now. The first 5 are done, and I'm going to scrub down number 6. The gold paint the original owner put on these things is holding like gangbusters. Otherwise, they clean up really nicely. This is a very satisfying part of the process, if a little chemically. So they cleaned up reasonably well. Not perfect, but I don't care. I'm just going to slap some acrylic gesso on these boys and go from there. As for the bannermen, well, this is the end of their journey. They are off to the pile of shame. Some of you out there might quite rightly be wondering how on earth I'm going to turn these somewhat Tolkien-esque dwarves into demons. Well, that job is going to fall to the color scheme.
The models are already somewhat outlandish with their crazy instruments and enormous beards, and with the right colors in the right places, they will look totally diabolical. To this end, I am applying a fire giant color scheme, something I used on some ogres, a video that I did a few weeks ago, to these little guys, and thus I will be creating the Fire Dwarf Brass Band, something truly diabolical. Now for a quick look at some glamour shots of our little menaces. I'm quite pleased. They definitely look more like demons than dwarves, and they will be well suited to plague the Echodrome in the role of minor but noisy little demons. The Fire Dwarf Brass Band is finished. Now let's look at the rest of the models. And oh boy, do I have my work cut out for me. I have 5 really nice, fairly complex models that I will have to pick away at, and a piano that I'm going to deal with later on in the video. And once again, I have bitten off way more than I can chew. I keep promising myself to keep these projects down to a manageable level, and I keep pushing the envelope and taking on too much. Oh well, I just have to keep at it. Oh, and Florissa is back. I am just going to keep picking away at these guys, working on the details incrementally and with patience, so that slowly but surely these demon musicians head towards the finish line. And I have to say I'm quite pleased with this selection of models, with some Warhammer miniatures from various periods, a Warmachine Hordes model, a Confrontation miniature, an official North Star Military Frostgrave model, and a Kit Bash mini. This set really represents the miniature agnostic spirit of Frostgrave, as well as satisfying my own eclectic aesthetic. Alright, these bad boys are starting to get to the point where I can finish them off. One by one, they are getting completed until there are just 2, and then finally just 1 left to do. And just when you think you are almost done the project, you turn the model around, and oh boy, is there still a lot of details that need to be sorted out. And for sure, some of these old Rackham models can make Games Workshop seem positively minimalist. It all paints up fairly simply, but I mean, look at that. He has a goblin in a basket on his belt. And now onto the glamour shots, starting with the boss monster of the scenario, the Master Sonancer, Florissa Undine. Her little Chaos Sorcerer says a lot of things about heavy metal and Warhammer in the 1980s. Mr. Hand says he's the most diabolical player of all, so he's brought along a little flute player to soften his edge. Dear God, a sensitive goblin troubadour. What could possibly be more demonic than that? Yeah, he's a straight-up beastman, but what could be more diabolical than a straight-up beastman? And finally, here is our Oni, Genie, Major Demon. He is definitely not a morning person. On to that piano. Nothing can make a pile of random wargaming terrain look like a concert hall more effectively than a grand piano. This little grand piano is from the Mantic terrain crate, the Gothic Manor, and it is perfect for its special job. I have given it a thorough base coat of raw umber, and now I'm going to dry brush on bronze yellow. I want it to look ancient, and so I'm going to give it a straight up weathered wood paint job. On to the step that really makes things look old, a big brush dry brushing of a light gray. In this case, a mixture of unbleached titanium and Mars black and bronze yellow, mostly to bring out the forms of the model, but also mostly to age the thing. In the next step, I'm going to tickle those ivories by dry brushing on some unbleached titanium. It's my go-to color for depicting ivory. And finally, I will finish off the painting process by painting in the black keys, just using Mars Black. This is the last step and was probably the most time-consuming step. Still, I really enjoyed it. It's nice to zone out on some simple detail, and in the end, this step really sells the model and probably sells the whole Echodrome when it's sitting on the table there. Well, all the miniatures are done now. Let's take a look at them before we send them off to the Echodrome. And here's a quick look at a glamour shot of the piano, and she definitely looks like a weathered, old, beaten-up piano. So, Florissa Undine and all her demon musician friends were created for a specific purpose: to populate the Echodrome for my monthly game of Frostgrave. My buddies and I congregate at the local game store, the Sword and Board here in Toronto, and fight it out for treasure in the Frozen City. We've been working our way through the Maze of Malcor, and it has been an amazing amount of fun. Frostgrave is a exciting, swingy game full of surprises and cinematic moments. It really is my favorite game. The great part of having a regular monthly game, apart from always having something to look forward to, is that it is an excellent motivation and inspiration to get stuff done. The scenario doesn't require demon musicians, but it inspired me to paint some up, and having a date for them to hit the table motivated me to get them finished, which is excellent. And now that the demons are in place and the warbands are flooding into the Echodrome, how did they fare in the game? Well, Florissa herself definitely underperformed, failing a number of spell rolls despite having a very low casting number. I guess being dead for 1300 years will make you a little rusty. Most of the other demon musicians did their jobs fighting the soldiers, getting in the way, slowing them down, but they fought unremarkable games and were dispatched without too much incident. Only one of the demons did anything really exciting, and it was our big blue vocalist who had the golden moment. The demon vocalist first had to face no less than 3 archers taking shots at him with only one landing a hit. He then quickly dispatched a treasure hunter, sending him back to his maker. He injured a man-at-arms so bad the soldier fled the scene, but when he turned to face his next foe, he was in for a surprise. His opponent burnt him to a crisp with a potion of fire breath. Awesome stuff. Yep, that's what passes for a battle report here at the Monster Painter. Oh well. After the game, we retired to the pub to roll on the survival table and to get those treasures. This time we included a potion of mutation in each treasure, giving the imbiber a roll on the grave mutation table for some extra Frostgrave mayhem. All in all, it was a blast, and I'm already looking forward to next month's game. Oh, you made it to the end of the video. That must mean you're a regular viewer. Well, I just want to let you know what's going on here at the Monster Painter. When I started this channel 2 years ago, I really didn't know what I was doing. But I managed to put out a video once a week, and this was great. It really helped me get up the learning curve and build a small audience. Lately, I have been struggling to maintain that rigid schedule. The videos are getting more elaborate and more ambitious, and a lot harder to finish in a single week. So, I'm dropping that old schedule. Instead of publishing a video once every week, I'm going to publish 2 or 3 videos a month. Hopefully, they're going to be bigger, better, more engaging videos, more fun, more Monster Painter. And that's the way it's going to go. I'd really like to give a heartfelt thank you to all the people who have supported me, and I look forward to seeing you next time here on the Monster Painter.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell. Ring the bell.
watching Les the Monster Painter.